Before she was country music sweetheart, LeAnn Rimes had spent much of her Texas childhood being ferried from venue to venue by her parents in an attempt to get her remarkable voice heard. By the time she was 11, LeAnn was a seasoned entertainer and had even won a round on Star Search. Unfortunately, she still hadn't won a major recording deal, which was her father's ultimate goal.
There's a lot of people who, you know, in the business, like, didn't know what to do with me. You know, she's a kid, how do we market this?
There was a very powerful record executive here in Nashville that told LeAnn she was just too young. You know, go back, grow up, you know, put on a training bra. No, but that rejection, I think, pushed her and her family to look for somebody who could do it and do it now.
When someone tells me no or someone's better than you at that, I'm gonna work always super hard to make sure I'm as good or better.
While LeAnn worked to improve her talent, Wilbur Rimes worked to get her a record deal. Eventually, Wilbur's work paid off, and LeAnn's demo tape made its way into the hands of Mike Curb, head of Curb Records in Nashville.
And you know how a lot of times you hear a tape and you say, wait a minute, this isn't the tape of the person. Sometimes people take a tape and they record over some other artist. I said, this is not a 12 or 13-year-old girl. It sounds like Patsy Cline. So we played a couple of songs, and I said, well, then this must not be the tape.
Eventually, Mike Curb was convinced that it actually was LeAnn singing. His first call was to Wilbur Rimes to offer LeAnn a contract, and his second was to booking agent Rod Essig.
I don't think I've asked Rod 2 times in my life to come over to my office and hear an artist, and that was one of the times.
And when I heard her in Mike Curb's office, after maybe 30 seconds, I go, I'm in, let's go, what are we gonna do? I wanna be your agent.
This was a great voice, and it was like an adult voice in the body of a young girl. I actually couldn't believe it.
And that was what was magic about her at the time, was she was so young, yet when she opened her mouth, it was just like nothing you'd ever heard.
LeAnn's captivating voice had worked its magic on Mike Curb, most powerfully in her rendition of Blue, one of the songs on LeAnn's demo tape. And since Curb wanted to release a single quickly, the decision was made to stick with what first captured his attention.
To take her and cut a song that was over 30 years old at the time, and it sounded like she yodeled, it was a big risk, because you had Faith Hill and Shania and Wynonna's records. I mean, those were some really strong statements being made by females at the time that ran completely counter to what LeAnn Rimes was introducing with Blue.
The mid and the late 90s were the days of Faith and Shania and showing the midriff and sexing up country to be a little bit more pop. But here was this wholesome 13-year-old whose dad was her manager, and she brought a different look and a different sound to country, and she did do something a little bit different than what was on the mainstream radio, but they did catch on eventually.
Now that it's over, I realize.
When we signed her and she came out with Blue, it was like a rocket ship. Normally, you take 2 years, 3 years, you develop an act. LeAnn Rimes was six months.
And here's LeAnn, her first single, out of the box, monster hit.
As soon as Blue got on the radio, the record started selling, the press just went crazy. She started doing the late-night television shows. She was in demand on the road. They couldn't keep her records in stock at the retail stores. The album quickly goes platinum, then twice, then 3 times, then 4 million, then 5 million. And I think the album is at around 7 times platinum now.
The sales of Blue catapulted 13-year-old LeAnn Rimes to superstar status and were followed by even bigger albums and singles, charting higher and across multiple formats. The success was greater than LeAnn had ever imagined, but she quickly felt the pressure of being an artist in demand.
How many 13-year-old girls have a monster country hit and a monster gospel hit and a monster pop hit when they're 13? That was a pretty big culture shock to the whole family.
And everyone wanting piece of you at some point, and still trying to be a kid, and that just went out the window because there was no time for that.
Coming up on Backstory.
I think I felt really, you know, abandoned. I think abandoned is a really good word.